Odell Beckham Jr., as the story we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, and everybody says, you're making too much of this. Are we? Because when he didn't show up for OTAs, Chris Canty's first initial reaction was this has to be about money. Oh, no, you guys are just haters. Then Adam Schefter says, no, really, it's about money. Now all of a sudden it's a story. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And by the way, Fansided tweeted out video of Adam Schefter explaining that for Odell, this is all about money. And guess who was one of the retweets of that tweet?
Who was
Odell
that?
Beckham Jr.
There we go.
Which generally I know people say retweets are not an endorsement.
That's an endorsement.
That's an endorsement.
100%.
So John Mara was talking with fans, I guess outside the practice facility, and Art Stapleton was nearby to hear it. And when a fan asked him about Odell, John Mara said, quote, obviously we want him to be a Giant for the rest of his career, which tells you that there's zero intention of trading him.
Yeah, right now, because he hasn't missed any mandatory time. He hasn't missed mandatory minicamp.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a no-show for training camp. It hasn't started yet. So, I mean, this is a situation where you've got time if you're the New York Giants and you try to let the situation play out. But the moment that he misses something that he's expected to be at and you have to start finding Odell, that's when it's going to turn ugly. That's when it's going to become a problem. And you just don't want it to get to a point where you have to sacrifice having this tremendous talent, this generational talent on your team because it becomes so much of a distraction for what you already have on your roster and what you're trying to do, which is compete for a championship while you still have Eli Manning in this 2 or 3 year window with that defense. So, I mean, it's a touchy situation right now. It's a sticky situation if you're the New York Giants and how you handle it. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., in my opinion, has a whole lot of leverage right now. So, I mean, how you handle it if you're John Mara, if the Giants organization, you've got to be really careful.
If you have to pay him now, if that's what this is about, as Shefty said, this is about money. He wants to get paid. He's, 44 wide receivers are paid more than he is in the league. If it is about money and the Giants give in, okay, we have no choice. You've got the leverage. We'll pay you. Doesn't that mean now they have to cut 1 or 2 players to fit that new salary that they're going to create?
It just depends on how they structure the roster, whether it's an extension and how they prorate the signing bonus. All of those different things come into account. But you would think that they're going to have to move on from somebody.
Okay.
It's going to cost you another player. So
arguably making your team weaker.
And it could be just one player this year, but it might be several players in future years. It just depends on how they structure the contract. And you already start talking about this championship level defense. You don't want to have to start taking parts away from that group in that dominant unit in order to satisfy the contract demands of your star player. I mean, you recognize the impact that he has potentially on winning, but also you want to be able to keep your core guys intact so you keep this window of 2 or 3 years open so you can compete for a championship. You don't just want it to be the 2017 season. You want to have a couple of cracks at it if you're the New York Giants organization.
And this is your best chance right now. I mean, when you have Eli where he is right now, this point of his career, your offense set up the way it is with Brandon Marshall on the team right now, with the draft pick you made, obviously Sterling Shepard a year in with his experience, this is the time, and the defense and all the money you spend on that defense to be as good as it was off last season.
But you got a lot of people.
This is their best time right now with Odell to win a Super Bowl.
No, you're
so why would this have to come in? Why does it have to happen now when you're Odell?
Because
now?
Because you need me right now. This is when you need me the most. Because when Eli Manning moves on and you finally run out of options in terms of being able to control my rights as a player, there's no guarantee that I'm going to have a quarterback that's in place that's going to accentuate my talents. There's no guarantee that I'm going to have the same production when I have to learn with a young quarterback.
Right.
So I want to take advantage of having Eli Manning here. The Giants want to take advantage of having Eli Manning to try to compete for another Super Bowl and the defense that they spent so much money in last offseason. So, I mean, it's the perfect storm for Odell right now, and that's why I say he has the leverage and he should exercise it because the Giants – they also got a lot of other contracts that they're going to have to deal with in the next couple of years. They got Justin Pugh's contract that they've got to do something with. They've got Landon Collins, somebody that was in the conversation for defensive MVP last year. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to deal with his deal. Weston Richburg, the center, they're going to have to deal with his contract situation. So you've got all these guys in line for extension, and Odell's sitting there saying, well, if I'm the best player on this roster, then you need to take care of me first.